Hello, this is Doogie, PA Camping Dad, Doug, showing you a mod for the IMUSA 10 centimeter mug, commonly used by backpackers as a cheap, lightweight cooking pot. I like to use this either on an alcohol stove or a wood stove. But what I don't like is these handles. This is the 10 centimeter mug here, and this is a 12 centimeter mug. It's tough to have a cozy on it and have it fit nice, and it really doesn't get you far enough away from the fire, especially with the 10 centimeter to pull it off a hot fire. So this is the mod that we're going to do, and it gives you a folding handle. It gives you a little more distance from the fire, and it's a nice lightweight way to go, and can still fit in a pot cozy. Well, these are some of the tools that you need. Well, of course, first you need your IMUSA aluminum mug used as a cook pot, ultralight cook pot. Actually, I can tell you how many grams it weighs. So I got my scale right here. It weighs in its original state at 70 grams, and that's 2.5 ounces. But one of the problems with it is the handle doesn't pack really well. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove this handle and put a set of folding handles on it. So the tools we need to accomplish this are, you can either use a pair of tin snips, heavy duty snips, or you can use a Dremel tool with a cutoff disc. I also have a file for smoothing some things, and I'll probably use the Dremel tool for smoothing the cuts. You can also do the original cut with a Dremel tool. You need a drill, and in this case I believe I have a 5/64 inch drill bit, which is the right size to make a hole to accommodate this coat hanger, which I used part of it already for the first pot that I did this on. So the first thing you want to do is to trim off this handle, and we're going to trim it off so there's about 1/4 inch left here. And I probably also get a pair of pliers, and we'll trim this and bend it. We'll bend it out so it's 90 degrees from the pot before we cut it off. So it cuts pretty easily with a pair of tin snips. Get it in there fairly close. That looks pretty good there. I think when I did this originally, I did it with a cutoff saw. I tried on a piece of scrap, and it was easy to cut with the tin snips. A little bit hard to cut it with two hands, and I'm going to brace it a little bit. So trimmed it up there. Just bend this. It's aluminum, so it's pretty easy to bend out. And we'll trim this up a little bit. Hopefully now I can get in there. It's a little tough, but there you go. That looks pretty good. And then I'll smooth up that edges with either file just so you don't have any sharp corners there. I will probably use the Dremel tool. I'll make a similar cut here. And these are about the cheapest tin snips you can get. So I will go get a pair of pliers and make that bend a little straighter. One thing to remember when you're drilling any metal is once you get it established, normally the slower speeds will cut better. You can see hopefully you can see, you get the nice filings coming off, nice coil cutting off. If you go too fast, it just heats up the bit, and a lot of times it will bind right when it cuts through. Tighten down the bit a little. And we have the bottom half done. Alright, I finished drilling all the holes here, and there's little rough areas on the back side where the drill bit came through. Just quickly either touch those up with a file or knock off those burrs with the Dremel tool. Alright, so now we are set to fashion the handle. And all you need to do is figure out how far away from the can you want to have from the pot you'll want to have your so you definitely need a pair of pliers for this step. So I normally have it sticking down 3/4 of an inch or so, and then so we're going to want to bend one bend about 3/4 of an inch and try to make it 90 degrees. And now you need to figure out how far out you want to come for your handle, how far you want to have your hand away from the pot. And I normally make it something around that distance. I know it's about 2 inches. And make a bend, and you want to keep it in the same plane as your first one. You could do it in a vise if you want, but it's not all that critical. So now we have a straighten out. We're looking at, so we have, that's going to be our handle. So it will go in to the piece there. Now we just need to get a rough measurement again of how far down. I suppose you could measure it more exactly if you wanted to, but you know, I'm looking at about there where my fingernail is. And again, you want to keep in the same plane as your first bends. And bend it up there. So you keep in pretty good plane there. And obviously, you want to complete the bend at the same area as the first. And then we'll just cut it around here. So in this case I can use my tin snips that I have here. And that's going to be our handle. And because we want the other one to match it, we'll just copy what we have with the first one. Now when I made my first one of these, I coated the handle with the dip it coating, actually coated these pliers a long time ago with the same stuff. I wasn't really too pleased with how that turned out, though. It actually turned out that it was fairly susceptible to, and again, it doesn't have to be perfect, but this was an old bend. This was the hanger bend. We'll straighten that out. Make our own bend where we want it. It said that dip-it coating has kind of burned off, so I have two thoughts of how to do it now, and they are either to strip some insulation off of standard conductor cables from conductor wires from standard household wiring, like 12-2 wiring. If you have any of that laying around, I think that would make a nice insulator for the top of the hanger piece. Or heat shrink tubing is the other option, which I think I am going to do for this one. And I'm not going to bother coating the whole handle. I'm just going to do the top section, which is where, maybe around like the top two sides here, the outer edge and the top where you would grab it. I don't see any need to put it on the bottom, and that's where it's going to most likely be hit by flames. So those are your two handles, and you just put them into place by flexing. Work it in there and just flex it, and it pops right in. This is a little bigger than the other ones. Now what I normally do then too is so when it folds, you don't want it to be sticking out like that. And if you just put a little crimp in it, you can either fold it against the side of it. I tend to just about in the middle of it. A little bend. So bend it that way so that it'll conform to the pot in the folded position, so it'll lay flat like that. And there's a similar bend on the other piece. And let me see if I can get some of that heat shrink tubing. So there's the completed handle. I put the heat shrink tubing on it. You can see it gives you a nice solid way to lift it off. The bends in here allow it to fold nice and flat to the side of the pot, and you can slip it in a cozy. As long as you keep these trimmed back, keep your cozy, have a little room in it, which you want anyway. It works great. It's a folding handle mod for the IMUSA. This is a 10 centimeter, but you could do it on the 12 as well. Get out there and have fun.